All right, sad news, everybody. Bernie Sanders has dropped out. He is out of the presidential race. Joe Biden is your official nominee now. Yay. Okay, we'll get back to Biden in a second because that is very, very important, obviously. So we'll get into expectations and what needs to be done going forward in order to beat Donald Trump. But first, let's talk about Bernie Sanders. Legend, GOAT, greatest of all time, our champion, our captain. We've talked in the past about some of the things that were not done right in the campaign. We have to be honest about that. We'll probably continue to talk about it, including tonight on the live show at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's when it is every day. You know it, youtube.com/TYT. Go there and we will have a ton of analysis on what happened in this campaign and with Biden. But in the beginning, what I want to tell you is, no, it was not a perfect campaign by any stretch of the imagination. If it was, he'd have won. We would have won. We didn't. You have to take personal responsibility. So, look, some people say from time to time that I'm one of the leaders of the progressive movement. That's wonderful to hear, and I appreciate that, and I love that. Young Turks called Home Progressives. We're the largest progressive show, network, you name it. No question about any of that. Did we help to Bernie Sanders get known better in 2016? I think so. I hope so. And that's where folks come up and tell us all the time. But along with that comes responsibility. So we lost. So that's on us. And blaming other people is both, let's put it this way. You have to do a real analysis of what went wrong, not to blame other people, but so that you can fix it. Now, were there other factors other than just Bernie Sanders running a normal race? Of course, right? But it's when I talk about it, it's in the context of, all right, well then how do we get beyond that? So there are those factors, but it's our job to get past it. And then we didn't in 2016 and we didn't in 2020. So it doesn't do you any good to deflect. So let's do both. Let me take it one step at a time, talk about the great things that Bernie Sanders did. Let's talk about a tiny bit about why we lost and what we could do differently. And then let's talk about Joe Biden and if he could beat Trump. And then again, all this will be laid out better in the full show, 6 o'clock Eastern, as it is every single day. Make sure you're watching live. And by the way, thank you for keeping us sustainable throughout this. And we got to keep going. And I'm going to tell you our battle plan in a second. TYT.com/go to make sure Young Turks is that progressive voice and now the light in what will be probably at least 4 years of darkness. Whether you think that's Trump, Biden, establishment, we'll talk through that in a second as well. Okay, so number one, in terms of Bernie Sanders, look, the guy pushed for all the things that we are having national conversations about. And everybody knows that now that he's dropped out, every mainstream media article I read was like, oh my God, he's amazing. The same guys who yesterday were saying, what a terrible bastard, radical, terrible, can't have him, no way. Now they turn around and they're like, well, obviously, he wrote the damn bill. I mean, it's Medicare for all. The reason we're having a conversation about it is because of legendary Bernie Sanders. $15 minimum wage, that's the one I want to focus on. Look, there's Green New Deal. There's so many different things that progressives care about and getting the corrupting influence of money out. Bernie Sanders set a new standard for how you can raise small dollar donations. All those things were amazing and important. But let's take $15 minimum wage because it's a perfect example. When he started pushing for it, now at least 5 years ago, people are like, that's radical. There's no way that's going to happen. What an insane radical, paying people wages that for, minimum wage jobs where they can actually live. Oh, no, we can't have it. The current minimum wage, national minimum wage is $7.25. It is brutally, inhumanely low. And who changed that conversation? Bernie. Now, the House Democrats, the establishment ran on, we're going to get you $15 minimum wage in 2018. They won. They passed that bill in the House, credit where credit is due. But who made that happen? There's no dispute over it. That was indisputably the reigning champion of progressives and people who actually care about the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party living up to its ideals and not being Republican light, but being actual Democratic Party. That was Bernie Sanders. He pushed $15 minimum wage. Then Nancy Pelosi brags about how she got a pass through when she was the one fighting it in the first place. But good, that's great. That's how progress works. I'm super happy to have Pelosi on our side now on that fight. Now we got to beat the Republicans. But if it wasn't for guys like Bernie Sanders, but in this case, really, literally Bernie Sanders doing it, we never would have had it. We never would have gotten to this place, let alone when we finally, hopefully, get victory. Because now Biden says, $15 minimum wage. Yeah, of course, me, $15. I want $15 minimum wage. Good. I want him saying that. But who made that happen? Everyone knows it, and now even the mainstream media acknowledges it. Yes, it was the heroic work of Bernie Sanders. So the guy did not change his positions for 45 straight years through incredible, unbelievable pressure. Be a team player, just sell out, you don't know, small change, compromise, small. You're actually trying to get people healthcare. Everyone in the country, healthcare for free, like every other nation on earth. How dare you, Bernie Sanders? And he withstood that for 45 years, and he carried us on his shoulder. So, we're talking about that Captain Crozier video this week where he's relieved of command because he was trying to save his sailors. And as he's walking off the ship, all the sailors go on deck and start chanting, Captain Crozier. And that's where we are right now. Captain Sanders. Oh, Captain, my Captain. No one is perfect. He was nowhere near perfect, but he was phenomenal, and he was the best of us. So don't get me wrong, he's still alive. He's here. And now he did 39 or 43, depending on how you're counting, rallies for Hillary Clinton. He'll probably do 45 for Joe Biden. And of course, they'll say it wasn't enough. Of course. We're going to get to that in a second. So Bernie Sanders, that's why we love him. If you don't get that by now, you're never going to get it because you're dense. The one guy who was honest for 45 years, pushed for all the things that we want, and got the country in those directions? No. Did Joe Biden lead the Democratic Party in those directions? And the direction it's going in now? No. He begrudgingly accepted where Bernie Sanders was leading. Okay, but it is what it is, and it's done. So let's now talk about, just real quick, why did Bernie Sanders lose? We'll have more of this later. One, as I talked about earlier, personal responsibility. I think he should have chosen one of two paths. Either don't change any of his policies, but find a way to make moderates comfortable. And they just couldn't get comfortable. And it's on us to make them comfortable. So you can't say, it's their fault for not being comfortable with it. I hear you, but we're in an election. Our job is to win. If we don't win, you don't win. And that's on you, okay? So secondly, the national media, of course, was overwhelming. So look, to go back to the first part, Democratic establishment 100% against Bernie Sanders. Is it because they're corrupt and they want to keep money in politics and have the consultants, the lobbyists in charge, et cetera? Yes, absolutely. Is it because they don't want to do Medicare for all because they all take corrupt bribes from the drug companies and health insurance companies? Absolutely. That's right. Okay. But if you want to win an election, it's your job to fight against that machine and to beat that machine. And so that machine exists. We knew that going in. You can't say, I can't believe that the machine existed. Of course. And we didn't get past it. Now, the unfair part is not that. That's your opponents within the party. That's life. The unfair part was the national media, who are supposed to be the refs. And the refs threw the game. Every call was against Bernie Sanders, holding, bring it back, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he did. Radical. Oh, he says the same exact thing as Obama did about Fidel Castro. The Washington Post just wrote, part of the reason he lost is because he's a radical who supported Fidel Castro. You disingenuous propaganda, manufacturing consent hacks, okay? And they gave hundreds of millions of dollars in free propaganda for establishment candidates. Initially, Buttigieg was their beloved knight in shining armor. No matter what he did, they give him positive coverage. And then eventually at the end, when it was Bernie versus Biden, Biden, electable, Joe Biden, the greatest Joe Biden. He's so electable. He's the most wonderful Joe Biden. Radical Bernie Sanders could destroy the Democratic Party. As soon as he took a lead, they weren't like, oh, congratulations, he has the lead. They were like, what are we going to do? The Democrats are going to lose. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. Everybody, they're going to lose if you pick Bernie. Don't vote for Bernie. Whatever you do, don't vote for Bernie. It was in every cable news coverage. Anyone who denies it, it proves how maniacally biased they are. Everybody, look, I don't even think MSNBC or New York Times could with a straight face say, oh, no, our coverage was fair. I mean, we told you the upsides and downsides of Bernie and Biden. Actually, they probably will say that because they're maniacal. But no real person believes that. You could ask the Republicans, for example, and they're not the best judge of anything. But in this case, they look at it from the outside. Was the national media in favor or against Bernie Sanders? In favor or against Joe Biden? Everyone will tell you the same thing. I mean, that'll be 90 to 10 if you did a poll. Yeah, they were against Bernie Sanders and they were in favor of establishment candidates like Biden. Denying it is it makes you seem like a bigger liar when you go, oh no, I don't see it. Okay, but anyway, I can't help them. So they did do that. It was a massive amount of basically free advertising that went against Bernie Sanders. A giant factor. Obviously, none of the media articles mentioned, oh, by the way, the biggest factor in the race was us. We threw it against Bernie and we threw it in favor of Biden at the end. Of course, they leave that part out, so they leave out a giant part of history. Okay, so anyway, that's a fact. There's no question. But our job was to get past it, and we didn't. Okay, so now, most importantly, we got, I guess, another 4 years. Yeah, that's depressing. There's no question about it. Another 4 years to figure out how to get past mainstream media who will lie and smear and attack every progressive candidate. They've done it before. They're going to do it again. And that's just the reality of our existence. Pointing it out is important. Complaining and then giving up is not the right approach. Like, oh, God damn it, they were unfair. Let's all go home. No. The correct approach is now we strategize. This is part of why you need Young Turks, honestly, because that's what we do. We bring on progressives for the next 4 years. That's it. Good night, Irene. Establishment media, they're done with progressives. They're like, oh, you guys didn't get power. Oh, thank God. Let's go back to bringing on consultants as our guests. And, oh, tell us how great you think the Abrams tank is. Tell us why the drug companies are so wonderful. You'll see that all over MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post for the next 4 years. If you want an alternative, luckily there's a home of progressives. It's us, okay? But we got to stay on the air. tyt.com/go. That's just the reality, okay? And imagine if we go out. How the hell are we going to beat the media? How are we going to win in 4 years without any organized way, a central place where people can go to get the message out? Anyway, so that's on us. We got to figure that out for the next 4 years. Now, finally, I just want to get to Biden as quickly as I can. So they now have 7 months to win this election. We didn't think Biden was the strongest candidate. By the end, I thought he was one of the weakest candidates we had, maybe the weakest. They said he's awesome and he's the most electable. Great. Now that's on you. Go get him elected. I hate Donald Trump. I can't stand him. He's an incompetent buffoon. Now, you've heard me say that probably near 1 million times. So I want Donald Trump to lose with every fiber of my being. So what do you guys got? I mean, Biden wasn't my candidate. Biden was the candidate of the establishment. So I hope you've got a good plan. Because right now, what I'm seeing on social media is already they're setting up excuses. Well, I mean, you know, if he loses, it was Bernie. It's about Bernie and his supporters because the Bernie bros, and it's your job to get them excited and to get them to vote for Biden. No. I just told you for 12 minutes about personal responsibility, and we lost the primary. It's our responsibility. You're the candidate. You're his supporters. If you're on that side, you're on that team. It's your job to win. It's your job to win. So I hope you got a plan, because he seems incredibly unexciting, and I've got poll numbers to show it. He's got poll numbers showing him being Trump. That's great. Obviously, I'm hoping he holds that, right? But when you look deeper into the poll numbers, no one's excited about him. Not our job, your job if you thought he was a great candidate. Okay. And so now, does that mean I'm going to support Trump or encourage people not to vote for Biden? No, I'm not going to do any of that. How many times do I have to say I loathe the guy before anyone believes me? It's not about believing me. It's just setting up an excuse. So if they lose, they're going to blame it on us again. You know who does that? Losers who are planning to lose. So I hope to God that's not what they're doing. Because if their plan A is, let's hide Joe Biden because he's not that great a candidate, Cenk and Bernie were right. But anyway, let's hide him. And let's not talk about any of Trump's problems because they might bring up Biden's problems. And let's hope we can coast. And don't worry, guys, plan B is if we lose, we'll just blame progressives. Right now, if you just look on social media and you look at the media, that appears to be their plan. If that's their plan, then we are going to lose and it's going to be a disaster. And it's going to be 4 more years of Trump. I hope they got a way, way, way better plan than that. I hope they have a plan to win instead of setting up excuses to lose. What's our role? Now, I mean, everyone from national media to my friends tell me now, hey, Jay, now you're getting behind Joe Biden, right? No, okay, look, guys. I'm going to tell you to vote against Trump. I've never wavered on that. I've been super clear. You should vote for the credible candidate against Trump, okay? Now, some people get upset about that. Oh, no way, you shouldn't do that. Okay, what's your alternative? That's why I told you to fight like hell in the primary. That's why I told you the primary was more important. You've heard me say that 10,000 times. The primaries are more important because in the general election, you're stuck. That's a fact. You might hate that fact, but that's a fact. Now, to the establishment guys, though, they're like, no, not good enough. You have to lie on Biden's behalf. No, I'm serious. That's their actual expectation. They don't use that word, but they say, now you're going to support Biden, right? What do you mean? Like, am I going to tell people that he's great on Social Security? Because he isn't. I mean, you name a topic, Trump is worse, and I will explain that. You know why? Because that's true. But if you want me to say that what he did at the bankruptcy bill was great, I'm not going to say that because it isn't true. If you want me to say he didn't try to cut Social Security, I'm not going to say that because it isn't true. I can go on and on, but if the expectation, and it is the expectation, it's a built-in expectation. They're like, Cenk, you're part of the media. Remember, the media manufactures consent. Now, again, they don't use that phrase, but it is their going assumption. So now, Cenk, Young Turks, your job is to manufacture consent for Joe Biden, to presumably lie about his record and tell everybody that it's wonderful. Because your job is to, and they do use this word, to get people excited about Biden. Oh, hell no. No. Look, I've got my perspective. My perspective is Trump must lose. And I'm going to tell you that. But I'm not going to tell you to get excited about a candidate I'm not excited about. What am I supposed to tell you? Oh, no, guys, don't worry. Even though Joe Biden said nothing will fundamentally change, from going forward for the next 7 months, I'll lie to you and say that he's going to bring you amazing, exciting change. He said he's not. My job is to tell you what the news is. The news is he's not going to change things. The only way in the world that he's going to change things is if we push him to. Because that's all they respond to is pressure. So, and that is also part of our job. So, look, now in this horribly non-ideal situation, my best we can do is Trump loses and we continue to accumulate power within the Democratic Party until we can pressure Joe Biden to actually do any of the proposals that we're in favor of. Again, back to minimum wage. It's the bare minimum, literally. But, at least we push Biden in a direction where he says he wants it. If we get a Democratic Senate, they'll probably come up with an excuse. But if they do, then our job is to kick the living crap out of them and say, you guys all promised, you're all on the record for $15 minimum wage. If you don't do it on day one, if we give you a Democratic Senate and a Democratic president, well, then it's official. You guys are the worst of the worst, and you're actually worse than the Republican Party because you want to do the same things as the Republican Party, but you're more deceptive about it. Okay, but I don't think that'll happen. I think there's too much pressure for $15 minimum wage. That will happen on Green New Deal and Medicare for All. Those are gone. They're gone. So again, I want to give you hope. I want to keep you excited, etc. But my job is to tell you the reality and the news and the truth to the best of my ability. Medicare for All and Green New Deal just died. We will try to resurrect them. We will try to win 4 years from now. We'll try to do it 5 years from now. Does the planet have 5 years to lose? No. Sad day. Older voters said Biden. Media said Biden. Establishment said Biden. Sad day. Now we got to live with those choices. But we can get other things done, like $15 minimum wage. So we got to push hard to do that. And yes, we have to build up another progressive champion. And if Biden doesn't go in the direction we want, should we primary him in 2024? Absolutely. 100%. Oh, no, but Cenk, you have to bow your head to the leader of the Democratic Party. No, I don't. No. I have to fight for progressive values. That's why we call it Home Progressives. So that's what we're going to do. Everybody cross your fingers and hope that they got a great plan, because if they don't have a great plan, we're all screwed and Trump's going to get reelected. And Democrats, I'm not telling you this afterwards, because if you lose again to Donald Trump, you're going to make excuses. Everybody knows it. You're going to blame Russia, Norway, Paraguay, Bernie Sanders. You know it, right? But you have 7 months now. It's on you to win this election. It's not on anyone else. And anyone else who says otherwise is a natural born loser who's planning to lose the election. So I hope to God that's not the case. And there are good folks on Biden's team. And I hope they got a good plan. And I hope they nail it, because now it's their party. Enjoy.